Well, hello. Welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger on November 20, 2022. Just listen to my nice, deep, rich voice. And you know I'm still sick. Yeah, this one is clinging on a little bit, although I am starting to feel a lot better. Uh, right now, it seems like just my body need to catch up to the rest of how I feel. Uh, it seems like my nose and my throat is still outputting phlegm and slime and fluid at an alarming rate, while from the neck down, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Um, this is the part of getting sick that I hate the most, really. It's when you're getting better, but it's getting better slowly, and you want to get up and run and be productive, but uh, you know that you need to give it a couple more days before you should do that. The part when you start to really get bored, you're tired of laying down all day and all that. But hey, it is getting better, and hopefully tomorrow I can actually pull off a Music Monday video. Uh, 2 days ago, if you asked me to do a Music Monday video, I would say, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But the way I feel today, there is a possibility that we can do it tomorrow. It's not going to be anything super uh, dramatic. It's not going to be any kind of a my heart will go on that kind of crescendo. But I think we can find something to do. Last year, uh, when I went out with when actually Kitten and I went out with a couple of our friends, a couple and the child. And I witnessed something that actually stuck in my mind, and I'm going to use it to jump off today's topic. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I'm getting old and I can't remember all the stuff I've said on Soul Search Sunday. So if I have already mentioned this, excuse me. So we were out with this couple and their child. The child was, uh, I guess, 8 years old, 9 years old, and we were sitting at the picnic table eating, uh, having fun, watching the musical performance, outdoor performance. And after we ate, the mother said to the son, she said, "Hey, uh, can you take the garbage over to the trash can over there and throw them in, please?" And to my shock, the son said, "I don't want to. I don't feel like it. I'm tired." And then the mother just said, "Okay." And then she took the garbage over there and did it herself. Now, if you grow up in a relatively normal family, this shouldn't have been all that insightful for you because this is normal for you if you grow up in a normal family. But for me, this was shocking because the kind of family I grew up in, that was not an option. If my father or my mom were to say, "Can you take the trash over there to the trash can, please?" we jump up and get it done. Or we hem and haw about it, whine about it, and we still get it done. Saying no was never an option. Now, saying no to my mom would probably result in my mom said, "Well, I guess you're walking home because I don't feel like taking you home. If you can say no, I can say no too, right? That would happen. Now, if it was my father, and my father said, well, my father wouldn't even say please. My father would say, take the trash over to the trash can. And if I would say, no, Dad, I don't feel like it, there would be a very short but awkward pause. And then my dad would lean right into my face. I'm sorry. I think my ear is not working properly. What did you say to me? You want to repeat that? Yes, Dad. I'm going to go put it in trash can. That would be the kind of thing that happened in the family I grew up in, and in many Chinese households, like saying no to your parents just not a thing, right? Even if they don't get violent with you, they're going to get back at you somehow. If you say no to their request, they are going to say no to your request for the rest of the friggin' year. So this result in a lot of people grow up not knowing that saying no is not just okay. It is actually your right as a person. It's one of your basic rights. I'm not even going to go into the legal definition of human right or freedom and all that stuff because all those things are very fluid. All those things are defined by political and other factors. But as thinking human beings, thinking adult, even children, being able to say no is one of the very fundamental rights that we have. But so many people have had that beaten out of them so much that even after they become adult, they feel very awkward, very guilty when they have to say no about anything. This is such a problem that when you first get into counseling and psychology, one of the first courses that you will find, it's an entire course dedicated on the art of saying no. Why is it so important? Don't we want people to say yes more often? Well, it's important because if you can't say no, if you have a hard time saying no, then you'll spend most of your life dancing to the beat set by other people. If you know how to say no, that doesn't mean that you want to say it all the time. But if you have no problem saying no, then that means that you can move at your own rhythm. You are your own person. This makes the time when you actually say yes a lot more meaningful because otherwise you're just saying yes because you're forced into it because you can't say no. You don't feel like you can say no. And that those times when you say yes, it's not like you like it's not because you like the person. It's not because you love the person. It's just because you don't feel like saying no. Kind of like uh if I ask you, hey, you want to go hang out together? I would much rather you say no to me rather than you saying yes, but you actually don't feel like it. Because then, to me, that makes me feel like a charity case. If you say yes just because you feel awkward saying no. Now, if you actually say, hey, no, I don't feel like it this weekend, or no, I'm busy this weekend, I'm going to be okay. That's fine. I understand. As an adult, that's me that have to deal with that. Huh? I can deal with a little bit of rejection. I may hide myself in a corner, cover my head with a blanket, and cry. And it's okay. It's okay. I'll deal with it. But joking aside, being able to say no is such a big thing that a lot of people still today have problem with, and this is why we are addressing that today. Learning how to say no is also a big part of learning self-defense for your information. In self-defense, one of the magic word that we have to learn to use very assertively is the word no. And this word does have magic power, but you need, especially in the self-defense situation, you need to know how to say it with authority, and you need to know when to say it. Of course, like someone coming up to you holding a knife to your face and ask you for your money, you don't want to say no at that point, right? You don't want to say no, but if later, when you actually start fighting the person and you got a hold of the knife that the hand holding the knife to your face, and you are trying to wrestle the knife from them, don't do that, please. But let's say you find yourself in that point, the ability to shout out a nice loud no, 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 it's a very powerful tool in your self-defense repertoire. Uh, Really not what we're talking about today, but I thought I want to throw that in there because it is somewhat related. Before we start looking at how to say no, it is important to understand that there's no perfect way of saying no. There's it's never going to be perfect. Saying no is more akin to damage control. There's a little bit of a gambling element in it as well, because you never know 100% how the other person is going to react, right? So it has risk tied to it when you say no. I don't want to sit here and tell you, yeah, it's your right to say no, and there's never going to be consequences. Nah, there's a lot of time there will be consequences. So before you say no, ask yourself, are you prepared to deal with what might happen, right? Because you just never know what might happen. This person who will come to borrow money from you may stop being your friend forever when you say no. This person who comes to borrow money from you may actually be really, really desperate, and because you say no, they actually go and kill themselves tomorrow. Uh, this person who come and borrow money from you may be very, very desperate, and because you say no, they feel they need to find another avenue and they go rob a bank, and now they're in jail. Now, some of you can sit there and say that, well, yeah, well, I'm not responsible for them being stupid. You're right, you're not. But believe me, when it actually happens, it's going to mess you up in your head for a long time. So before you say no, just know that there quite often is going to be a consequence, and there's no perfect way around that. Right? Feel free to exercise this right of saying no, but understand the risk you're taking at the same time. I have given the lecture of how to say no many, many times in my lifetime. I believe the first time was around 2002, 2003 for young adults, for a bunch of graduating high school children, and how to get along in society. And uh, sometimes these lectures tend to stretch very long, sometimes they're very brief, but just for ease of use, I have condensed it down to three things to keep in mind. Uh, Number three, it seems to be a magic number when it comes to things we need to remember. So number one, before you say no, and the first thing you need to learn is to read your target, read your audience, aka the person you're going to say no to. Now, saying no itself, there's nothing complicated about it. There's two ways of saying no. You either say it direct, no, I can't. No, I won't. No, I'm not. Or you get diplomatic about it. Uh, I wish I can help you, but this is just like really not a good time. you're a very nice person, but I don't think we're meant for each other that way. Alright? There's only two way about it. You either say it direct, or you get beating around the bush, or being nice or diplomatic about it. A lot of people is going to tell you that diplomatic way is the right way. I'm here to tell you, no, it's not always the right way, because you need to know how to read your intended target, which means the more you know the person, the easier you'll be able to make this judgment call. Right? It is a judgment call. Because if the person you're talking to, you're going to say no to, is very smart and very understanding, very philosophical, very diplomatic in their own way, then it is okay. You want to be diplomatic about it. Okay, you want if this person is not the kind of person that's comfortable with direct answer, you don't want to be too direct because what's going to happen is if I come to you to borrow money from you, uh, I may already be feeling kind of vulnerable inside. I may already be feeling this is so embarrassing, and I don't know. I really not feeling that good about the situation. And then you suddenly slap me in the face with a no, I won't. I don't. I will never lend you any money. You can forget about it. In my head and my current psychological emotional state, that's going to translate to, oh well, you don't like me as a person. You have something against me. You are not a good friend. So this has a, if you get too direct with an emotionally charged person or someone who is um, uncomfortable with directness, you have there's a chance of you escalating this beyond repair. You may end up hurting the person a lot more than you intend to. So in these situations, uh, like I said, if the person is intelligent, diplomatic, emotional, sensitive, then you want to be a little bit more sensitive about it. Okay, then this is when you say, hey, I really like you as a friend, and if I had $1 million in my account, I say, hey, here's $500,000. It's all yours. I wouldn't even lend it to you. I give it to you. You know that. But hey, I got bills to pay too, and I really can't right now. Let them down gently. Okay, they're sensitive. Let them down gently. Um, I have to do that a lot. This is something that I learned to do later in my adult life. I used to be super direct all the time. No, 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 no. And I offended a lot of friends unintentionally by being that direct. So, uh, if your target is sensitive, emotional, and the kind of person that can be diplomatic, that can read between the lines, then it is okay to do the soft approach. However, the soft approach can get you into trouble sometimes if you're dealing with someone who's as dense as a rock, someone who's just like a bull in a china shop, who's charging full speed ahead, that they can't read between the lines. Right? I'm sure a lot of ladies that watch my videos, you guys might have run into this situation. A guy want to go out with you, and then you say, well, I don't want to be his girlfriend, but I don't want to hurt his feelings. So you do the, hey, you're a really nice guy, but I don't really want a boyfriend right now. I don't feel that this is going to work right now. And you think that's going to be that, but this guy end up getting stubborn, and he's hanging on. He's not going to let go. Tomorrow he's bringing you flower. Next week he's waiting outside your house, and then he's sending you birthday card. He's calling your house. He's thinking if he stick around long enough, you'll be okay for it because what you said was, I don't think this will work right now. What you said was, I don't think you and I work for each other. Well, what they hear is, well, if I try hard enough, the things will work out. Uh, I run into people like that too, with regarding to money. Someone wants to borrow money, and I try to do that. Hey, I don't really have money right now. I can't help you. I'm sorry. And then this person call next week. Do you have money this week? They give her call next month. Do you have money this month? Like, you know, you will find that yourself gets squished more and more and more toward the wall. It gets to the point where you lose your temper and you have to be rude about it. So if the person you're dealing with is that kind of person that they just rush forward regardless what you're saying to them, they don't stop to consider what you're actually saying. They're not good at reading between the lines. They're not very sensitive. They're not very diplomatic, then it is okay. This is much better to just put your foot down and say, hey, no, I can't. Okay? End of the question. Don't ask why. I don't need to tell you why, but no. Doesn't mean I don't like you, but just no. Okay? So, knowing the kind of person you're dealing with is very pivotal before you open your mouth and say no in either the diplomatic way or the direct way. Number two, try to minimize the damage of you saying no. Again, there's two ways that you want to keep in mind, two things you want to keep in mind when you want to do this. To minimize the damage of you saying no, because like I said, there's always going to be some consequences. Sometimes these consequences can be rather unpleasant. But there are ways to minimize that. Number one, consider the person's dignity and feeling when you say no. It is okay to say no, but don't say it in a way that is hurtful to the person's dignity. Uh, if someone comes to borrow money from you and you don't want to lend them money, you say, hey, no, I can't. Okay, not this month, or I just can't. Or you can even say, hey, I have one of my personal policies. I never lend friends money, and I consider you a friend, so I can't. That's fine. But if you go ahead and say something like, you know, ever since we've been friends, way back when we were in elementary school, you've been borrowing money. I even have to buy your lunch. When are you going to find a job? I'm not going to be your uh, I'm not going to be your ATM machine. I'm not going to be your bank. Okay? Don't borrow money from. Okay, so the person, in addition to hearing no, feeling the rejection, is getting shamed in the process. So if you really want to control that, the amount of damage this is going to do, then try to avoid situations like that. Don't bring up the past. Don't bring out the person's private situation, personal situation. Um, just say no. Okay. However you want to say it, diplomatically or directly, just say no. But don't add on to all the past grievances or things that you've heard. I hear that you never pay people back, so I'm not going to lend you any money, or stuff like that, right? Uh, it's okay to reject the person, but it's very important to leave them with some dignity so you can at least still be a friend, or at the very least, at least you won't be enemy afterward. So that's the first way to minimize damage, is to watch how you present this. Watch your language. Watch that you don't include unnecessary grievances in this response. The second way to minimize damage when you say no is when you say no, stick to it. Make it a close-ended argument. Don't leave it open-ended. Don't change your mind after the person jumps through hoops and beg and do a whole bunch of uh, unnecessary tasks and impress you and kneel down at your feet. If you say no, say no. Stick to that. Some people will say, yeah, well, I have the right to change my mind, don't I? Yes, you do. But if you change your mind after saying no, if you change your mind because the person begged or uh, have to fulfill a whole bunch of tasks and conditions, your saying yes will mean very little. eh? This is an interesting little social phenomenon that I want to share with you guys. Just think about student loan. How many people do you know that have owed student loan, borrowed student loan? How many of them do you know that say, "Oh, I'm so thankful the government lent me money to study"? I personally, I know very, very few. Most people I know that have to pay back student loan, have to borrow student loan, they hate the government for it. So why do they hate the government, even though the government pay them, lends them the money to put them through school? Because of all the hoops and stress and unpleasantness they have to put through. They have to be put through to get that. So if you have to say yes, then say yes. If you have to say no, say no. But if you tag onto a whole bunch of conditions and unpleasant stuff that the person have to go through, demeaning, degrading, again, hurting their dignity, the person in the future is not going to feel grateful because you said yes in the end. The person in the future is going to hate you because of you making them lose their dignity. So if you say no, stick to it, and they won't bug you again. And this is another thing. If you say no and then change your mind, and if you make a habit of this, then no one's ever going to take your no seriously. You become that person. Oh, you just push hard enough, they'll say yes. Right? You don't want that. So if you want to say no and make it stay being no. Third, last but not least, thing that to keep in mind when you say no is you can actually uh, offer some other forms of solution when you say no, and this will actually turn the situation to you rejecting them to you actually trying to help. Okay, uh, let's say very simple everyday situation. Let's say if Kitten and I we are together and I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner and I can't find the spatula. eh, And I go to Kitten and I say, hey, do you know where the spatula is? Kitten, if she just says no and nothing else, it's going to feel like, oh, oh, okay then. Uh, go back and continue looking for the spatula. But I may feel a certain way about it, right? In my head, I'm thinking, well, why are you just sitting there? Why aren't you helping me? But if Kitten said no, but I think I saw it a couple of days ago, and it was in the left-hand drawer by the sink. You want me to come help you look? This entire situation takes on a much warmer, fuzzier, more romantic feeling. At least, even if I say no, 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 I'll go look for it. In my head, I'm going to think, oh, she's very nice. At least she gave me a clue as to where to start. Same thing with when someone wants to borrow money. When someone wants to borrow money from you, after you say no, and the person is feeling all rejected and dejected and hurt, this is a good time to do a little extra that will actually earn you that friendship point by saying, no, even though I can't help you, uh, I do know a couple of grants on the internet that I saw a while ago. Maybe you can apply for these. Let me send you the link, and then if you want me to help you with the application form, I can help you with that. Or have you thought about uh, doing this at the bank? Or have you thought about selling this? How would you like if I have a little project? If you help me out and there's a bit of a pay in it, I can split with you. Now offer them hope, offer them a way out. Just like many people say about God, God closes one door, He'll open another one. When you close a door by saying no, get into the habit of trying to at least open a couple of windows so the person can see how to proceed from here on. There's a lot more in how to say no, and it takes a lot of practices before you get comfortable and good at doing it. But believe me, once you master the art of saying no, it is totally worth it. And if anything, it will improve your relationship with yourself and with other people. Thank you for being here with me today, and I will be back again tomorrow for some Music Monday, I hope.